In the early 90s, sneakers were becoming very popular in the United States, and their introduction in Europe was going well with the Air Max 1 and the Air Max 90 that were becoming a good success. Even if the Air Jordan craze hasn't yet arrived, these two models alone were already federating a growing community across various households, but above all, various movements. But one of them, the model that will make it all explode and generate the beginning of a cult around sneakers in Europe, is the Air Max BW, considered by many Europeans to be the best Air Max of all time. Hi everyone, it's Arthur Barandi, and today I'm unveiling the secrets surrounding the BW. In the early 90s, Nike was doing very well. Even if Michael Jordan's first title was a long time coming with the immense success of the Air Jordan, the brand continued to grow on the international scene day after day. And it's all thanks to its running models, especially the Air Max and its Air technology, which delivers unprecedented comfort. And that's precisely what Nike's going to ask Tinker Hatfield to work on once again. Already overloaded with work, Nike nevertheless asked Tinker Hatfield to design a new Air Max model for the year 1991 while keeping the same Air unit as the Air Max 90, as the swoosh brand wanted to continue its success. So he kept exactly the same Air unit as the Air Max 90, but increased its visibility simply by increasing the size of the window. And yes, this could be confusing, as some people believed that the BW had more air than the Air Max 90 thanks to its design. But this was simply an illusion coming from Nike. And yet, neither Nike nor Tinker Hatfield wanted to lie to the consumer at the time, because BW stands for big window, specifying only that the window was bigger and nothing else. In fact, this is one of the few Air Maxes not to benefit from the evolution of the air bubble. But let's be honest, that's not what's going to win over the sneaker fans of the time. No, it's all the design that surrounds this air bubble. It features its famous rubber swoosh, its neoprene collar, its padded tongue, and its black nubuck eyelets, giving the impression that the pair is much more massive and comfortable than the 90. Several colorways were released over the years, including the very appreciated Marina Blue, and of course the OG color and best known Persian Violet. Now, the technology is nice, the design is good, but what made it so popular? Okay, first and foremost, the Air Max is still a running shoe, and we won't dwell on that, but runners were fans of the BW, especially marathon runners who said it was ideal for covering long distances. But if sport was enough to make a sneaker popular at the time, communication would be out of a job. This time, however, it wasn't Nike's communication that played a key role in the pair's success, but a culture that, like skateboarders with the dunk, made it its own. The Air Max BW was an icon of the Gabber Movement. For younger people, this probably doesn't ring a bell, but for those who lived in the 90s, this movement seems obvious to mention for this pair. The movement originated in the Netherlands and was highly controversial. Infiltrated by skinheads who tarnished the movement's image, it had a very bad reputation. Banned from nightclubs, followers of the movement had to organize house parties and go into hiding. Because even for house parties, they had to disguise them as graduation parties, as these had been banned. And by the way, even if you weren't part of this movement, if a nightclub bouncer saw you wearing an Air Max BW, you were automatically turned away from the club. Well, that's the downside. But in truth, this movement was incredible and full of good intentions despite its hardcore side. For one thing, the look was crazy. They wore tracksuits that gave them a streetwear, even sportswear look, and had shaved heads with tattoos all over them. And finally, for the eccentricity, they all wore Air Max BWs. Despite its detractors, many said that those who were part of the movement were all friends and very nice to each other. Now, what we can ask ourselves is, why did they choose the BW? Because the style was essential to this movement, and as already mentioned, the pair's eccentricity was part of it. Also, even more important, they were perfect for the Gabber Movement's dance steps. Extremely comfortable, you could dance in them and move around in them for hours without your feet hurting. But they weren't the only ones to love this pair. Two other very important movements made them their own. Bubbling was a derivative of breakdance which was very popular at the time. It was a very special dance performed only on slippery surfaces, and for this, the Air Max BW's grip was perfect for practicing the dance steps. But how did it appear? Well, thanks to the creative experiments of the DJs of the time. Initially it was dancehall, but the DJs decided to speed up the rhythm of their music to accelerate the dancers' dance steps. With bubbling, the dance never stops, and neither do the legs. Above all, this dance is all about showing off the shoes you're wearing, and that's what counted the most. So it was better to have Air Max BWs on your feet. The other movement that had already had a big impact on iconic Adidas models was the grime. The BW had become very popular in London thanks to this movement. Some talked about the BW in their songs. Others, like the famous rapper Dizzy Rascal, put it squarely on their album covers. Initiator of the grime movement and also the greatest inspiration for Skepta, who wore it on the cover of his album Boy in a Corner. Last but not least, rappers like Too Short and producers like Pete Rock have also been using it. Now let me ask you a question. Why did I only talk about Europe in this video? This is basically an American sneaker, isn't it? Well, yes, but not at all. While the Italians and Japanese had their golden age with the Air Max 97 and Air Max 95, in the rest of Europe, alongside the Air Max Plus, the BW was their favorite pair. In the USA, moreover, it didn't flop, but it was more widely distributed in Europe, which is quite logical. As part of a pack called International, it was much more successful when released on this continent. But above all, it's France's favorite Air Max. Yes, many people think, and it's not so wrong, that the Air Max Plus is the country's favorite. Okay, it's true that its success is part of the Air Max legend in Europe, but the French only had interest for the BW in the 90s. Yes, this one arrived much earlier, I admit. But ask people who lived in the 90s what their favorite Air Max is. In most cases, the answer is the BW. And as proof, its OG model, the Persian Violet, has already been reissued 7 times. In 2000, 2003, 2005, 2008, 2013, 2016, and 2021 for its 30th anniversary in a city pack that pays homage to Lyon for France, to Rotterdam, where the Gabber Movement was born, and to Los Angeles. Returning to Skepta, he will work on the pair twice, including a hybrid, the Air Max 97 BW SK in 2018, which will give the sneaker a facelift. He chose the big window for the upper to pay homage to Dizzy Rascal, the artist who inspired him. The crazy thing about the Persian Violet is that the 7 times it's been reissued, it's been sold out in no time. Even in 2021, nostalgic fans pounced on this model, part of their daily uniform. For them, this reissue was like a love letter to their former lives. All of this shows how much this pair is an icon forever inscribed in the fabulous history of sneakers.